Hello, this is Roman Gabriel, and you are listening to The Grilling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to the NFL's Grilling Truth Legends Show. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. I want to remind you guys that Legends Show is brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies and Gridiron Mow, so check both of those out. Our guest today, as everybody knows, I'm a huge Cincinnati Bengal fan, but this is one of those guys, I know people who listen in the past know that I'm always saying this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest cornerbacks in NFL history. I think he's still second all-time behind Dick Night Train Lane for most career interceptions by a cornerback. Help me welcome to the show, Ken Riley. How you doing, Ken?
Fine. How you doing, Mike? Happy to be a part of the show.
All right. We'll just start off. Number one, it's an honor to have you on the show. And number two, just tell us about basically how this started, your life growing up in Florida, who some of your early influences were.
Well, I was born and raised in Florida from a little place called Bartow, Florida, about 12,000 people. Went to elementary all the way up through high school at a little school named Union Academy, which had about 500 people. But we had a great football program, not only football, but great athletic teams. And I know for our high school team, we had 11 guys that actually went to NFL, and 8 of them started at least 1 year. So that's my claim to fame. There are a lot of people. The school at that particular time, nobody in the area, including Tampa, had probably more pros in NFL than we did at that time. But I graduated from there and went on to Florida University. I was a quarterback in high school and in college, and I played up on the legendary Jake Gaither and played quarterback. I started. Well, I led it 4 years. In the last 2 years, I had all of the records when I left except one. But then I was drafted in the 6th round. I had no idea because I was a quarterback, and during that time, black quarterbacks, I didn't get that opportunity. But I was an athlete, just like so many other people that played quarterback. Usually, you probably one of the best people on the team all around. So I took advantage of it. And when I got there, Coach Brown, when they drafted me, they said quarterback / defensive back, this athlete pretty much. And when I got into camp, he said, you're a cornerback, and the rest is history. I went on and played 15 years, started 15 years, about midway to my rookie year, and I started from then on.
All right, so when Paul Brown tells you you're going to be a cornerback, was that something that upset you, or was that something you were good with?
I was good with it. I knew at the time I wasn't the typical quarterback at that time, 6'4", 6'3", drop back quarterback. I was a scrambler.
Yeah.
And I ran around. I threw the ball well. I think I could throw as well as anybody. But again, I was like Russell. I was about 5'11" and a half, something like that. But I was running like 4.4s.
Back then, a running quarterback, the only ones I remember around that time were probably Fran Tarkenton and Bobby Douglas.
Right. But I was on that style, that mold. I was in that mold. So he just, he gave me opportunity. I was drafted. Tom Bass was the defensive coordinator at that time, and he came down, and I was working out with him. He came down and showed me what to work on. And I worked on that. When I went to camp, I went there and then I did pretty well. I was raw because, like I said, I never had played, but they saw some physical ability in me, some traits. I could backpedal, I could change direction, I can do this and do that. And I think the biggest thing was I went to a team that was just in their second year of existence. If I had probably gone to an established team, I don't know if they would have given me that chance to develop. So I was just in the right place at the right time and took advantage of a good situation.
Yeah, and the other thing with Paul Brown there, even though it was an expansion team only in their second year, he put together, I mean, every year Paul Brown was there, his coaching staffs, I mean, you had a bunch of guys that ended up being NFL head coaches or were assistants for a long time. So really, if you're going to go somewhere and switch positions, those were the coaches to be around to do that, I would think.
Oh, yeah, like I said, Tom Bass was the first guy that I started out with and taught me the basics. I didn't have any bad habits. And I can remember the first time we had a guy named Eric Crabtree. He was a wide receiver that had brought in from Denver. And we were running routes, and he beat me the first time. And he was very good. Ken, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And they threw a quick out, 5-yard out, and I reacted so fast. I picked it off, and I thought I got some attention. They could see the possibilities. And like I said, I'm just appreciative that I had a guy like Tom Bass and Paul Brown who saw the skills and gave me an opportunity. But, boy, it was, you had 20-some defensive backs in camp. You only kept 6.
Well, that's back when you used to have, 6 preseason games, too, though.
Yeah, and that was, I think that helped, too, because you had long preseason games. So it gave you an opportunity to get a chance. Now you there 1 or 2 weeks, you're playing preseason games. So it was a long camp. It was fun, though. We had a lot of guys, doing just pranks and stuff all during the year. And I came out with 6'9" with Greg Cook, who I thought was a great quarterback. So I didn't have any qualms at all about it. Greg Cook was something else. And we all were good friends and played well together. I say it all the time. If he'd probably didn't get hurt, tell him how many Super Bowls I may have on my finger right now. Because that's just how good I thought he was, and a lot of other people did too.
Yeah, and I mean, almost anybody that saw him play. I know my father was one that used to tell me that the Pittsburgh Steelers would have never existed in the form they are today if Greg Cook would have stayed healthy. Because he said those Super Bowl rings would have went to the Bengals.
Yeah, in my opinion, that would have happened. So, but again, we don't know. But just based on what I've seen, I was a quarterback and his physical ability, and he had that thing about him that made people around him like him and want to play for him and block for him. So he was special, and it's just unfortunate it didn't work out. He got hurt.
Now, you talked a little bit about Paul Brown. What was your relationship like with Coach Brown? It had to be special to play for a guy that had done the things and accomplished the things he had during his career.
It was very special, and you had to earn his respect. I mean, you didn't just get it. He was a guy, he wasn't real tall in stature, but, boy, he carried a big stick. And he'll let you know from day one, what is expected of you, and if you didn't get the job done, that was it. He didn't tolerate any off-the-field activities that would be embarrassing to the organization. But at the same time, if you had any problem, you can go to him and he will help. He used to always tell you, I pay you a good salary. I want you to conduct yourself off the field just like we would on the field. And I thought that was good. But if you didn't get the job done, he will let you know. I mean, even during the course of the game. So a lot of us, including me, played out of fear. You can go in thinking you're having a good game. You have those meetings on Tuesday. You still might come out sweat up under your arm because he was just so demanding. But he was fair. And if you were the best person, you're going to play. I can remember. I guess I was getting a little bit older, and I don't think I really never had a bad year. But there's some passes that were caught, and he came up. He said, "Ken, you see who we drafted?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "We looking to replace you." You can see the handwriting on the wall. And I know when it came, I had been in the league, 6-7 years, and I've always been the right corner. And then in training camp, I saw myself, switching sides, right, left, right, left. So I was one. I didn't ever, say anything, but I just did my job. So they played the first preseason game in Miami. I'll never forget it. And Bob Creasy was the quarterback. And the first 2 times he threw on that side, I picked them off. And then, I played by the half. Back then, early, you don't play the whole game. So we got back in camp. He walked up to me. He said, "I like what you did. Now skip back over there where you are and you stay there.
Well, I know you guys 69. You guys, I think you started off pretty well. Greg Cook got hurt. Season went bad. You get to 1970. You guys are 1-6. Look like you're dead in the water. End up winning 7 straight games, making the playoffs, going 8-6. What was the catalyst to turn that season around?
Well, a combination of a lot of things. I think you had a lot of young guys, just very similar to the Steelers. Coach Brown was getting good players in because the next year Lamar Parrish came. And Lamar was, and in the year, I think Casanova came, but in 70, Lamar came, and Lamar was a running back that was converted to a defensive back as well. He was a great return guy. And we both were from Florida. And we had some other people come in. I forgot who all came in 1970, but, with the ones that we got in 69 and some of the guys he brought in through, I forgot what they called it at that particular time, but we began to mesh. And once we got on that winning thing, we liked winning. We were a lot of fun. We made some mistakes, but we made it up with effort. And I think the continuity we were getting to establish really helped us get us over the hump. And I think that year we went to the playoffs and we lost in the first round. I think it was to the Baltimore Colts, and that was United. And that was a thrill for me just to be on the field with a legend that I've already respected and admired, even when I was in high school with he and Raymond Berry. So then they went on. I think they won the Super Bowl that year. But it was a great feat. It just, Chris Brown and his staff did an excellent job with a young team, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, and you talked about Lamar Parrish. That's another guy. I think both of you guys belong in the Hall of Fame. I think his interceptions were in the low 40s. You were in the 64, 65. You want to talk a little bit about him, and also Tommy Casanova and Bernard Jackson. I mean, you guys during the mid-70s, one of the best defensive backfields in history.
There's no doubt about it. I think we were. I mean, and for a long period of time, two contrasts in style. Lamar was flashy. Lamar, even in the dress, when we go somewhere, Lamar had these loud colors. He was the first Deion Sanders. They called him Leaping Lamar. The thing that probably separated him from me was that he returned kicks. And I did in the punt returns and stuff. Tom Casanova was another one who was, he played 5 years and then he went into, I think, the ophthalmologist or something like that. And Bernard Jackson was a running back, again, that was converted to defensive back from Washington. He's deceased now, but we were close, and we were good athletes. Lamar was, I always use the deal where he was the Willie Mays and I was the Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
And I was a technician. I could run. I was very quick hand, got great hand. I mean, I was quarterback, so I had a good feel for the ball. I know. And we used to talk about, man, why you haven't been in the Pro Bowl? I mean, in 1976, I had 9 interceptions. 9. Lamar was hurt just about most of the season. And I think he only had like 2, and he went to the Pro Bowl that year. And I remember Charlie Reynolds was the coach. And he said, I know you're going this year. So we were playing the Jets. I picked off 3 the last game of the season. And 2 of them was against Joe Namath in his final year. And that's why I don't have any respect for the Pro Bowl. I know this is a popularity deal and stuff like that. People try to hold this against me because I never played in a Pro Bowl. And I think it's unfair, but again, I don't make that decision. It doesn't upset me when I get so many people. Well, why isn't he in the Pro Bowl? I mean, why he's in the NFL Hall of Fame? And then even in my last 2 years when I played in 82 and 83, I led the conference in interceptions. So you take 76, 82, and 83. My stats are there. It speaks for itself. But to hold that against me because I didn't play in a Pro Bowl, I think is ridiculous based on, on and I don't care how, 65 career interceptions, you have to be doing something right.
Yeah, and then you pick off in 82 towards the end of your career, you picked off Jim Plunkett 3 times, didn't you?
Yeah, I did that 3 times in a game.
I think that was the Raiders' only loss in the regular season that year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I picked off 3 interceptions, either 2 or 3 times during my career in one game, so. But again, I'm satisfied with it. A lot of other people appreciate it, but that's why it's, you got this effort going on right now, trying to ask the question why. When you look at your stats and what you accomplish, And Lamar.
Well, and the thing is this: you're not the only one in that boat either.
No, it's not. It's some great players.
That's the bad thing about it. I mean, they're letting guys in that. I mean, maybe he's a defensive end. He got a lot of sacks, but they took him off the field when it was time to run the ball. I mean, to me, that's not a Hall of Famer. You got to be able to do everything.
Right.
Right. You got a guy like Robert Brazil, who I've had on the show before. Lamar will tell you he belongs. Yeah, Robert Brazil should be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm not the only one. And
yeah, but I mean, that's the bad thing, because there's a bunch of guys, and the problem is the way they vote for the Hall of Fame, I mean, it just makes no sense.
I think, earlier, I don't really think, I don't know how they did it, but, now, it just every year somebody else coming out who is deserving, and what's the criteria, so, you can't cry it if it happened to you. Then, great, but if not, then you move on with your life. You can't worry about things that you can't control. But like I said, it's just like when people look at you, they come in and say, hey, why you out? But you ask you those questions. Hey, I can't answer that question, So,
yeah,
anyway,
but it makes it a lot better when people that you respect believe
people,
that you should be in there.
Right.
So, all right, we get to 71-72. Bengals were a little bit down. People thought after 70, they were going to become a Super Bowl contender. 73, though, you guys have a new quarterback who came in. I think it's 71, Kenny Anderson. Yeah, I think you guys went 10-6, made it to the playoffs, lost to the Dolphins, that great Dolphins team in the playoffs. You want to talk a little bit about the 73 season?
Well, Kenny came in at that time. I think we had gone through several quarterbacks, Virgil Carter, I think. I can't recall who else, but, we didn't have any stability at that position. I mean, Virgil did a great job, but Kenny probably had the best throwing arm. He's another one that should be, and he probably will get in there eventually now, but Kenny deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah.
But great person, great personality, great skills. He's been an MVP in the 81-82 season when we went to the Super Bowl. But, yeah, Kenny came in and gave us, I think early in his career, leadership was something that was lacking. But he was young. But he was just, his physical, everybody admired and, respected the physical ability he had. But then later on, he matured and became the leader of the team as well. And that made a big difference in our overall success.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to touch on is Paul Brown and the rivalry with the Cleveland Browns and what that was like back in the 70s, especially the early 70s.
Yeah, we all knew Coach Brown, wanted to beat Cleveland, and we wanted to beat Cleveland for him. And that's because, we really loved him and respected him. Because, like I said, he's, with all of that you said, we knew he had, he respected us. Now, some of the things that he did as far as he didn't want any stars on us, he wanted pretty much everybody to be on the same kill. I think that may have hurt us too, and as far as awards outside of the team awards, because he felt like he treated everybody the same, but he didn't want any superstars. He wanted people that to go in and do your job, and your job would speak for itself. But unfortunately, if you want outside awards, you got to have a little bit more than that. But like I said, I respected him. I learned a whole lot from him as a coach, because I look at all these things. You give all these incentives to players. If you get so many sacks, you pay you. If you get so many $1,000, you get this and that. And I found that, but Coach Brown said, "Well, that's what I'm paying you to do anyway." And so you do, because guys get selfish. If you got a guy who's a defensive man who's going to get so much money for so many sacks, and if his job to contain, he's going to go wherever it is so he can get that sack. So then he might hurt the defense overall because he's being selfish by just getting a sack. Or defensive back, the same thing. When you want to knock the ball down, you're trying to intercept it, it bounces out your hand, and somebody else get it and go for a touchdown. So, there's a lot of things that I learned from him. And I had some good coaches, my college coach and high school coach, very similar. And, you felt like they was concerned about you more than just on the field and off the field as well. That means a lot when a player feels like that feels, that you are concerned about him, and they want to play for you. And I think that's what we all did for Coach Brown and wanted to play for him. And you just hear so many. You get all the guys. Everybody got a different story to tell, but it was all good.
All right, so you get to 1975, one of the best teams in Bengals history. You guys go 11-3. Yeah. Paul Brown retires at the end of that season. I mean, what was that? Was that a shock, or was it something you guys kind of saw coming?
I didn't see it coming because we had come off of a very good season. Boy, we wanted to go on and you know, win a Super Bowl for him because he deserved it, and we knew that, you know, time was going on. But I didn't see it coming. I didn't know he was going to retire. But you know, I guess he felt that it was time, and he brought the team from 1968 until this point, and you know, to come over that may have been the best record we had, I think, since, you know, in existence at that time. I think 11-3. I don't think we had any record better than at that time.
No, so, I think you guys had the 10-4 and 73, but the 11-3 right. I think was the best.
11-3 was the year, and we wanted to move on. And boy, it was just getting by that first round. You know, we never did do it. So, but yeah, we wanted to do it all, and it didn't happen. But he did get a chance, you know, at one point as a you know, general manager. But we wanted to do it for him as the head coach.
Yeah, and, I mean, Bill Tiger Johnson got the job, your defensive coordinator. Yes. I mean, was that something that everybody, because, you know, everybody looks back and everybody has 20/20 vision and says, well, we could have had Bill Walsh. But I know I had Kenny Anderson on the show about 6 to 8 months ago, and he's like, well, he said, I didn't know that Bill Walsh was even ready or mature enough to take the head coaching job yet.
Well, the thing about it, you know, I don't know, like I said, Coach Brown and Mike is very similar, very loyal to his staff and the people around him and to the players. And I don't know the type of relationship that existed at that particular time. Nobody knows that but Coach Brown and the other coaches at that particular time. I think if he had made any decision or said something to anybody, I know he's always been straight with me. And like he told me, he said, Ken, you know, when you retire, I'm not going to issue that jersey out. And I was telling Mike, that's what your dad told me. But, you know, I have no problem with that. It's for the number 13. But they don't have officially retired. But he said that to me. And he said that when your playing career is done, you know, I want you to be involved in this organization. And when I retired, I did get an opportunity to go back there. But I went from Forest to Green Bay as a coach. So he's true to his word. So I don't know what was said at that particular time, but I know if that decision was made, it was based on, you know, the relationship and what was said to those individuals at that particular time. And like I said, I don't know what that was, and I respect his, you know, his decision.
Yeah, and then team 76 had a good season, 10-4, missed the playoffs, lost the snow game to Pittsburgh, where I think Booby fumbled the ball in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh scored and won. Lost the game at Oakland, which basically kept us out of the kept the Bengals out of the playoffs. Then you get 77, which was another one where finally the Bengals beat the Steelers at Riverfront, but then lose the next week to Houston. It had to be frustrating through those years. I know you guys were that good. And you throw on the Greg Cook getting hurt. You throw on Tommy Casanova retires after only 5 years. Mike Reed, who was another great Bengal player who retired after 6 years. You had to kind of feel a little bit snake-bitten at some point, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, because like those individuals that you mentioned, I mean, that was really had an effect because, you know, Mike Reed, we don't talk about him, but, boy, you talking about one of the quickest guys over the nose I ever seen in my life. Wasn't big. And he's a piano player. He's, you know, out of Penn State, but boy, what an athlete. You know, he was great. And like you said, Casanova, and Chip Miles, that was another one, a wide receiver. Wasn't fast, but ran great moves. And you know, we had a lot of talent. It was always something that just we were like snake bit. We just couldn't get over the hump. And I just felt that we could have gotten in that opportunity, got past it. Like it's very similar to the teams now. They couldn't get around that first playoff win. And we were regular season. We were just doing very, very well. And it was always something. Somebody dropped a ball here, a defense. It was a team effort. It was a team loss. wasn't an individual player, but we just, like we were snake bit. We couldn't get it done. And we was always in the shadow of the Cincinnati Reds. But then, you know, we were young, excited.
Yeah, in the 70s, that was a huge shadow.
Yeah, it was a big shadow. And we have Johnny Bench and Pete Rose and George Foster. We all, you know, sometimes would see each other in a restaurant or something like that. But it was a big red machine back then, so we had to deal with that too. But the relationship was good amongst us.
Yeah, then the team kind of bottomed out 78, 79. Then 1980 comes, and they bring in Forrest Gregg, who Vince Lombardi called the greatest football player he ever coached, which that'll tell you right there about Forrest Gregg as a player.
Right.
Forrest turned it around here pretty quick, 6-10 the first year, but the team was a lot more competitive than they were the 2 years before. What did Forrest do to turn everything around within a year or two here in Cincinnati?
Well, first of all, you know, I have to mention Homer Rice. Homer Rice was before him, and Homer Rice was a motivation type person. I mean, I could have played for motivation, but we had a lot of young guys coming in. And we had some bad habits on the team, and it wasn't because of Coach Rice's ability, but the discipline part was missing because he was just such a guy who, you know, would give you that motivation. But a lot of guys, young guys, just needed somebody to put the helm down.
Yeah.
And we had already heard prior to him get there about his reputation from Cleveland, about he was this and that, and I was almost on the verge of, you know, getting out of retiring anyway. I said, man, I can't go through. I mean, we heard the horrid stories about Forrest Gregg. He was this and he was that, and he, you know, he was intimidating as it was. He was 6'4" or more, and, you know, he had that menacing smile, expression on his face, and he was no nonsense. And he came into camp. I think he was in Canada at that time. We was out there practicing. I don't know. And then he came on the field. Everybody saw him, and we said, "Wow, okay." So he came in, and like I said, his reputation preceded him, and everybody was aware of at least of the rumors of how he was. So he got the respect right away. And I think that's exactly what we needed. He, as far as off the field, some of the things off the field that was going on, and then we got the leadership within the football team, because you have to sort of amongst yourself. You got the coaches only with you during the, you know, out of in the practice field, but outside you got to have leadership within. He gave us that. He told us we had to monitor each other. We did that. Not the fact that other people, but we really did that. We felt that way. It was a family. And he came with the discipline part of it and all those other things, the leadership coming from within, monitoring each other off the field as well as on the field. It really helped us get over the hump the next year from 6-10 until we had a great year that year. Should have won it all. Again, but should have not good enough. We were really good. To me, that was the best Bengals team that I ever. That's the best team I've ever been on, all around.
The thing I remember the most about that season was the toughness shows up right away in the first game, where you're down 3 touchdowns at halftime.
That's
and then
right.
the third-string quarterback, not even a second, Turk Schoenert has to come in because Jack Thompson was hurt, and you guys come back and win the game.
Yeah, we were. It was a good part. And then that championship game. Oh man, that was unbelievable. Kenny threw the ball like it was 90 degrees in that game. I couldn't. I mean, it was seriously cold. I know. I talked to some of the guys. I said, look, because I learned from Pittsburgh, it would be cold up in Pittsburgh, and those guys would come out with shorts, no nothing, just a little sleeve, shorts, jerseys, and that sacked you out. And I never forget, I was telling some of the guys, I said, look, man, we're gonna be just like Pittsburgh. We're gonna go out there and without sleeves on, and really, San Diego got off the plane. We was out there running around like it was 80 degrees practicing, and they came out and looked on the field and got right back on the bus and went on home. I mean,
well,
right back to the hotel.
You remember Ed White?
Yeah.
The great Pro Bowl guard that the San Diego had. I had him on the show like a year ago, and this always irritates me. And he did the same thing their fans do, because we start talking about that game. And it's like, if it wasn't 59 degrees below zero, we'd have won the game. That was the difference. And I'm like, well, do you forget?
What about during the regular season when we beat them real bad?
Yeah, you played in November. It was 80 degrees.
Yeah, and Lewis returned an interception for 102 yards in that game in San Diego.
Yeah.
Same year.
I mean, I think that was to me, that was the turning point that this team can do something special when you guys went to San Diego and blew them out. Because I think at the time, the Bengals were only 6-4?
Yep, something like that. But
something like that, and then you guys went on a run after that.
Yeah, went on a run, and we beat them during the regular season. So don't use that as an excuse. We all both played in the same type of element.
And then he told me he didn't remember that game.
All you do is go back and look.
17.
Right. And beat them bad. We sure did, yeah.
And then you go to the Super Bowl. You're playing the 49ers, a guy that used to coach with the Bengals, Bill Walsh.
Yeah.
They had a quarterback that was drafted in the third round, Joe Montana, just like you guys did with Kenny Anderson. You'd been in the league for over a decade. What was the week leading up to that like for you?
Well, we were excited about it. We were happy to get there, and we wanted to win it. Again, it's just one of those situations. I can recall even in the first drive, Joe Montana threw an out, and I made the play, knocked it down. But I figured, if I would have just gone, you always go back and say, if I would have done this and this, it'd have been different. But fate holds it, we just weren't good enough. I can remember we were coming back, and I think Chris was running for a touch, and all of a sudden the ball just fell out. All kind of things just happened. So it just wasn't for us, but it was a great experience. And I don't like Super Bowls. I don't watch it now because I really felt that year we were the best team in the NFL that year. But second place not good enough. So. But yeah, it's unfortunate because a lot of people they gave it their all. We didn't give up because we were behind in that game. And
that was 21 to nothing at halftime, or 20 to nothing at halftime.
And if you could, nobody could tell. Somebody can stop us on the one goal line. First and goal, and we don't get in with Big Pete Johnson. We had Charles Alexander and Archie and. 1 yard, I think Kenny even tried to get across on a quarterback sneak at just 1 yard line. So, but it was some great individual performance. Danny Ross, boy, he was a great tight end as well.
Yeah, that's still the greatest game any tight end's ever had in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so there was a lot of individual efforts and team effort that went on. It's just unfortunate that we just couldn't finish the game in that way, but it hurts, and I'm sure we always remember because and like I said, that's the best Bengals team that I've been on since in my time with the Bengals. But it didn't happen.
And we talked about you saw Atlanta blow a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl this year. To you, how big is the deal people make out of the Super Bowl hangover? Is that something that is real? Was it real for the Bengals in '82?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a hangover. But like you said, you examine your own self, and if you felt that you laid it all out there on the line, and I think most of us, all of us did, I think. And sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way, or things don't turn out in the end. But as long as you know that you given it your all and did the best that you could do, then that's all you can rely on, and you move on.
All right, now, the 1982 season, you guys started off 1-1. You blew out Houston. You lost a close overtime game to Pittsburgh. Then the strike came. What kind of effect do you think the strike had on that season?
Well, we went to the playoffs, I think, that year, and it was a short season. I think we were 6-2, or I don't know what
7-2.
7-2. I know that. And again, that first game, I think we lost in the first round of the playoffs, and. We thought we were going to move on. And
what was up with Freeman McNeil? It seemed like every time he played the Bengals, he was Jim Brown.
Yeah, you're right. So you can't explain it. Like I said, we was doing very, very well. Like I said, 6 or 7-2, and we lost, and didn't get too far in the postseason. But again, it was a great effort, and. It's unfortunate again that we haven't brought the big thing. Maybe it's this year. I like the draft. What I've seen with the Bengals. So hopefully they get it over. But it's still, it's for a former player. You would have wanted to have done that yourself. So hopefully they'll continue to move forward and try to bring that Lombardi Trophy to the city of Cincinnati, because the fans are, and the organization, everybody deserving of it.
Now, you get the 1983, your final season. The team goes 7-9, so not a successful season, but the defense was ranked number 1.
Right.
And I remember, I think, Kenny Riley Day against the Detroit Lions. What do you remember about that, your last game at Riverfront Stadium?
Yeah, it was heartwarming. I think Isaac Curtis spoke for the team that particular time, and I had my parents up, my children, my wife, and everybody. My former coach, Coach Gaither, was there. He and Coach Brown were pretty good friends. So I had my family. It was heartwarming. This was the last game of my career, and I went out on top. I think I had 8 interceptions that year. I think it was 8 interceptions. I led the conference, but even in '82, I led the conference in the strike shortened season. But it's a lot of memories, great days, and I treasure every second and moment that I was there. And great city, and it was hard. They gave me. I still have my portrait, silver T-West set. To describe. With my name and number and all that on it, and it was a great day. And I remember Reggie Williams came up to me and said, "Rattler," and everybody, because we were losing one time, I think we came back and won the game. So they wanted to win it for the Rattler, and I really appreciated that. And for them, for the organization to have a Ken Riley Day, that was special to me.
Yeah, and you played with some great guys. We talked about the guys in the early 70s, but you want to talk about the guys like Reggie Williams, Louis Breeden, Bobby Kemp, Jim LeClaire, guys like that? Yeah,
I just had a Ken Riley Celebrity Golf Tournament this past weekend, and Archie Griffin came. Isaac Curtis was here. Louis Breeden was here. And, I mean, those are the guys that, I didn't contact. Kenny was supposed to have been coming. Kenny Anderson was coming. And he's right there in Hilton Head in South Carolina, and his daughter was coming up, so he couldn't make it at the last minute. So, but yeah, Booby Clark, you forgot. Essie Johnson is another one. Essie Johnson was a great back. Paul Robertson. I mean, it's from 69 to 83.
Robinson and Johnson, those are two more guys that had injury problems, I think.
Essie Johnson was really, really good. Charlie Jonah was doing that. Boy, we used to have some battles just even in practice. That's why we were so good defensively and offensively.
Yeah, I never understood that
great
Charlie Joyner
players.
Man.
So, I mean, it's a whole list. From 69 to 83, I played with some great guys. I remember guys that came from other teams. Coy Bacon, the year in 76. I had 9 interceptions. He must have had 20-some sacks that year,
Yeah, I think it was 27 or 28 the Bengals counted that year.
Yeah, and then, you got people like Rufus Mays, who's deceased, and Sookie, Vernon Holland, who was a character. I mean, I can go on. Like I said, my roommate Lamar, and Reggie was my roommate, Reggie Williams, who he was also here this past weekend. We spent some time together. It was almost like a reunion with Isaac and Lewis and Archie, and we got together and did some things. And it's a fundraiser for a cause that I have. And but boy, and Lewis, and it's a whole lot of people that good people. And Pat McInerney was another one, a punter. Here, Pat was a wide receiver and a great punter.
That always irritates me when they say Ray Guy was the greatest athlete to ever punt. I don't remember Ray Guy starting for 2 years for the Raiders.
That's right. Pat was a wide receiver. I remember one time he was coming, he got hit, but boy, he got right back up. He was down for a while, but he got back up and still punted. And you got Bob
Tom
Johnson.
Darden. Remember Tom Darden wiped him out in that 80 game.
Yeah, and Anthony Munoz had a chance to play with him, and Max Montoya. I hate to name names because it was just so many. All those guys were great guys. I mean, we just had, and the camaraderie and the friend. It's still there. I mean, it's still there. If somebody called me, when the Bengals called me, I'm gonna try to be out there for them. I'm gonna do what I can. So, Dave Lapham and Tom Dinkle and Jim LeClaire. That was, one of the captains. it'll be just great to see some of those guys at some point again.
Well, all right. You retired in '83. I know that you went on to coach with Forrest Gregg in Green Bay. What drew you to coaching, and how did you end up working with Forrest?
Well, the thing happened, as I said, Coach Brown said when I was done, to get back with him, and he's going to, see what they could do as far as me being a part of the organization. So I called back, and Dick LeBeau was the coach, and it said that, well, you can come in and work with Dick LeBeau. It's like, I guess, shadow him for a year or so. And Forrest had already contacted me when I retired. I was in December. I retired in December. He called me about 2 weeks later and said, Ken, I want you to come and coach defensive backs for me. So I told him, I said, well, Coach, Coach Brown had already said that he wanted me to call him, and we'll go from there. So I called, and like I said, Dick LeBeau, who really was, I got all the respect, still have the respect. He's still coaching.
Yeah.
But Dick was when he came into Cincinnati, he really had developed some bad habits by him being a cornerback and played. And, he had 63. He's in the Hall of Fame. And we talk about that today.
And it took him forever to get in, too.
Huh? Yeah.
It took him forever to get in, too.
Yeah, we talk about that now. My last game, I think, against Minnesota, I think I picked off two interceptions. And I passed him at 65. We talk about that and who's this and all that. But anyway, I told Forrest of the situation. No, Ken, he said, I don't want you to work on that. I think you're ready to be a full-time defensive back coach. It's your job, and if you want it. So I took that offer because, coming just retired from Cincinnati, I knew the guys, they knew me and all that. I thought I needed a change, and I needed to go where, somewhere else. And
the defensive coordinator was Hank Bullock in Green Bay, wasn't he?
He was. He had just left. As Forrest left, Hank Bullock went with him, and I think Mo Gillespie, the running back coach, and some others, I think, went on with him to Cincinnati. To Green Bay. So, and I accepted the job there because I felt that I needed, I was too close to the guys that just retired, just got off the field. And so when I went to Green Bay, James, we had just played them that year, right at the end of the game, but it was different. I didn't know them like I knew the guys in Cincinnati, so I felt I needed a change to get away. I had opportunity to come back at one point, but I went into the college. Then my college coach summoned me about coming back to Florida, and so after 2 years I left there and I was head coach there.
Yeah, and that had to be special for you to go back to your alma mater and be the head coach.
It was. Did a pretty good job. I had an opportunity even with Forrest at SMU. He called me to come and be the head coach there, but there were some things there that, because of the
that
situation.
SMU job was
I really thought about that hard because I got all the respect and love for Forrest Gregg because he gave me that opportunity. And he was the head football coach in AD. They didn't want him to assume both positions, so he called me and asked if I wanted to come there. And I went there, my wife and I almost went there, but I said no. And after I made it, I called Coach Brown. He was still living at the time, Coach Paul Brown, and he said, Ken, I didn't want to tell you what to do, but I'm glad that you didn't take that job because sometimes it's just so many things that's going on there right now, and that's that you don't have the freedom, but they still. And I didn't want you to get in a situation where you didn't do well and it hurts your career down the road. So I really appreciate him telling me that, saying that.
All right, you were head coach Florida A&M for a while, then you became the athletic director?
Yeah, I was head coach for 8 years, and athletic director for 9 years. I was there 17 years.
So what do you like better, athletic director or head football coach?
I like coaching. I really like coaching, but the problem in a small college is that you don't have the resources to do a whole lot of things, but people expect the same results.
Yeah.
And it's like recruiting and then, doing certain things, monetarily, scholarships. You got so many restrictions on it. The only reason why I stayed there was that was my alma mater. I've had a chance to get back into the NFL coaching during that time, but I was, again, my alma mater, and I stayed there for those length of time. We won 2 championships while I was coaching, but I really believe that if I had gone back into the NFL, I probably would have been a head coach at some particular time. But I thought that I was doing a very respectable job.
Yeah. So do you regret not going there, or are you glad you stayed at Florida A&M?
No, I don't regret it because my children all got degrees and doing well for themselves. So I was there to monitor them and be there. You know, when you're playing, sometimes you spend a whole lot of time, doing things and going back and forth. So I don't regret it. And once I make that decision, I don't look back. So I don't regret it. I think, like I said, they all got their degrees and doing very well. And that's, there's always life after football, and family comes first in a lot of this. Well, I'd say God first and family. So, no, I don't regret it. But it was a good ride.
All right, so I know you retired from all that a while back. What are you doing today, or what occupies your time?
Again, civic responsibility. I'm involved in the community. I have a parent youth summit that I have. Been doing it for 7 years, and that's another way of trying to bridge the gap. This came about from my experiences as a dean of student and at the high school, and just saw some of the conditions some of these students are in and what they have to go with in addition to trying to get an education. And I thought there was a need to try to bridge the gap. So what we do is we have a parent youth summit that we have both parents and the students. And we have breakout sessions that come in and we address problems or issues that may affect the family. And then we also have motivational speakers come up. We give out computers and televisions and things. I call it the hook to try to get them to come, and it's free.
Yeah.
So once we get them in, then we try to deliver our message and be able to change and at least show them another side of things. And it's been very, very successful right now. We have the support of the entire community, the police department, the chamber, the commissioners, and it's been going very, very well.
All right. Well, Ken, I want to tell you, it was an absolute honor to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me, and keep doing the good work, the good thing that you're doing.
Well, me and Joe Kelly, you remember Joe, the old Bengal
yes.
linebacker from the mid-late 80s, we do a weekly Bengals show. So during the season, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have you on sometime.
Okay, we'll do that. I know they got the 50th
right,
anniversary coming up, and I know they're going to be bringing some people back, I guess, the first 50.
Yeah, and they need to do a Ring of Fame.
I agree with you on that, but I know I've heard Mike say
there. There's got to be a 14. There's got to be a 57, an 85. Right. I don't care if there's guys wearing them right now or not.
You're right. Yeah,
I mean, and the 85 for anybody that's under the age of 40. I mean, Isaac Curtis, not Chad Johnson.
He was, he still looked good too. But boy, you talking about it. He was something. I used to.
If you compare his stats to Lynn Swann, his stats are better than Lynn Swann's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
his problem was he didn't get to go to those Super Bowls that Lynn Swann got to go to.
Right.
But yeah, there needs to be something honoring the team.
Right. That's right.
I don't know why you can't have a small Bengals Hall of Fame at Paul Brown Stadium like they do for the Reds.
But, and the Green Bay has that.
Yeah, I think every team has that but the Bengals.
Yeah, well.
Of course, every team has a playoff win over the last 25 years except the Bengals, too. I can joke about that since I'm a Bengals fan.
Right.
I've pretty much given up on playoff wins, Ken.
Yeah.
But
we'll get there. We'll stay
all right, hey, like I said, it was an honor having you on the show, and we'd love to have you back sometime.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Ken.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, make sure you check out our sponsors, Replenish Care Technologies at replenishcaretechnologies.com. Check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. You can catch all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Google Music, Spreaker, Stitcher. Anywhere you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So, for Ken Riley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.